when working with planetary magic alone, yes, you can go ahead and create that sigil, talisman, or amulet, but again, will it be at its best? So when you cross over into the realms of astrological magic, hello, beautiful creatures. Welcome to my channel. I am Aradia, the Witch of Dark Light, and I hope you all are doing well. This is the first video in a series of advanced witchcraft. So this first one is going to be planetary magic versus astrological magic. What are the differences? And I will be going over some of the basic structures of astrology that you may need to know to work within the realms of astrological magic. So grab a seat if this is something you are interested in. So first, when we work with witchcraft and we begin to understand the foundations of witchcraft, when we work with, for example, candle magic, we begin to understand how to work with the planets. So this is what we consider to be planetary magic, when we understand the relationship of the planet and its influence in our magic. So we work with the times of the planets. So this looks like what day of the planet and the planetary hours. So we understand the archetype of these planets and to understand how they influence our magic. So we begin to understand a little bit about the planets during the understanding of planetary magic. So you begin to tap into the world of astrology because you have to understand the nature of these planets when you work with astrology. So now when you've got that kind of mastered, and now you are ready to move to the next level of your working with the planets, what that looks like is astrological magic, and this is in the realms of understanding astrology. So when the difference between planetary magic and astrological magic is, you not only have to understand the archetype of this planet and the time that is best to work with this planet, but you also have to understand the other influences of the celestial bodies within the sky, right? You have to understand, is there something that could be negatively impacting your magic? Is there an aspect to this planet you are working with that is causing this planet to not be at its best? Is it debilitated? Is it not happy in the current moment, in the current transit that is taking place? So this is what it means to go to the next level. This is what it means to become more advanced. You begin to understand there are more layers to working with the planets, because there are other things that can influence your magic at the time that you are casting that magic. So if you're working on a Tuesday, this is Mars Day. If you work on that Tuesday, and even if you work within the hour, the planetary hour of that planet, Mars. If Mars is being afflicted, if it's not in a happy place, if it's in a house that it is not most comfortable with, if it's conjunct the planet, if it's having an aspect to a planet that is making it not be at its best for you, this can impact the level of your magic. It absolutely can lend its energy. It absolutely can lend its influence in your magic, but it will not be at its best. And sometimes it can even give a negative result, right? So these are things that need to be understood when you want to have a more power of manifestation, when you want to add more layers to your magic. So see, these are some of the things that you may ask yourself, okay, maybe that's why that magic that I didn't come to fruition. It didn't manifest, or at least it didn't manifest in the way that I needed it to, because the reason for that could have been that the planet wasn't at its best. So this is when you want to begin to understand if this is, you desire to bring more power to your magic, to help it manifest in the way that you want it to. This is an element of magic that can absolutely help you attain these things. Within the realms of astrological magic, you can work with the moons on a greater level. Not moons, but the moon in its many cycles at a greater level, and that is what they call the lunar mansions. So there are 28 lunar mansions that you can also work with. Now I'm going to read you something that I have here from a website called Medieval Astrology Guide. I'm just going to read you a little bit of what a lunar mansion or lunar mansions are. So, and lunar mansions are known and appear in several cultures, including the Middle East, India, and China. So, lunar mansions are determined by the position of the moon as she circles the earth. It's divided by 360 degrees of the zodiac. We arrive at the 28 distinct positions the moon can occupy in the sky on any given night. The Arabic word for the mansions is manzil, meaning house. And these positions were conceptualized as places where the moon rested for the night. As a central timekeeping device, the lunar mansions were popularly used in astrology and magic, with each mansion having its own traits, characteristics, and effects, as well as assigned images, spirits, and suffocations. So this is just a general explanation of what the 28 mansions of the moon are. And I came across understanding what they are. No, I didn't understand when I came across it because it was it was overwhelming at first. But I came across the knowledge of of their existence within this book here called The Picatrix. Now, this is a popular book. A lot of people know about this book. And in this book, it really goes into the lunar mansions and all things planetary, and how to work with the planets and the timing and things that you can do during that time, working with botanicals, working with metals and fluids, all types of things. But it really goes into deep into the electional timings to do these things. And it really, really, really goes into detail. So I'm going to read something and give you an example of what I mean by how detailed it is and what work goes into really working with these types of things. So they're explaining the image of Venus, and this would be the image that you have to create to work with according to what it is that you want to do. So if under the influence of Venus, you make the image of a woman whose body is human with the head of a bird and the feet of an eagle, in her right hand an apple, and in her left hand a wooden comb. And they give these symbols here on the figure. Everyone who carries this image with them will receive good and be liked by everyone. So that's just the beginning, right? After you make that image, then you have to, in white stone, the first face of Libra ascending. See, this is where you have to understand astrology. Whoever has or carries the above image will always laugh and be cheerful. So then they proceed to go into the different electional timings in which you use this image and how to use it. And it will bring about different types of influences. So, and this would be you essentially creating a talisman for that archetypal energy to be manifested. So this is after you understand astrology, right? This is at least the basics of astrology. You then can go through this book with a better understanding and a lot of the terminology. But this is where I first saw mention of the Lunar Mansions. And at that time, I had taken a second course in astrology to go deeper, so into Hellenistic astrology. So that is where I received a better understanding of how to work with, or what they even were to begin with. So this is going deeper into the more advanced level of working with the planets, and that is understanding astrology so that you can work with the elements of astrology to attain astrological magic. So what I want to share with you is a breakdown of some of the basic things that you would need to know to understand, to be able to at least have a foundation of astrology to work astrological magic. So I'm going to be reading my notes here. So if you see me looking down, I put all this together because I want to make sure that I give you everything that's necessary for you to understand what the foundation of astrology really is. So one of the things you would need to know is the zodiac signs, right? So the zodiac is a circle of 12 30-degree divisions of celestial longitude that are centered upon the ecliptic, the apparent path of the sun across the celestial sphere over the course of a year. The signs are Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo. We all know the signs, right? Each sign is associated with a specific trait, quality, and element. So each sign is associated with fire, earth, air, or water. So you first begin by understanding these qualities and traits and elements about each of the zodiac and the mythology of the zodiac. The next thing you would need to learn is houses. The astrological houses are 12 divisions of the ecliptic plane based on the time and location of a person's birth. Each house represents different areas of life, such as personality, wealth, relationships, and career. The houses are numbered from the ascendant, which is the first house, the rising, and counterclockwise around the clock. So each house has ruling planets, and those planets correlate with the influence and archetypal energy of this house. Before I go any further about the other things that is necessary, the thing that helped me understand all of this on a greater level, because I began taking courses, but it really didn't hit me that I really need to understand the mythology behind all of this. Understanding the mythology can 100%, at least in my opinion, help you understand how to work with the relationship of these planets. So it's just like when I always say, when you want to work with a spirit, it is good to get to know them, build a relationship, because when you get to know them, in a relationship, you understand what it is, their needs and their desires, and how you can almost predict how they're going to behave. This is the same way with the planets. When you understand their history, their story, because the stories are written in the stars and the heavens. When you understand the mythology and the mythos behind all of this, you can better understand how, when two planets are conjunct, how they will behave, what influence they may bring. For example, the story of Venus and Aries, which is Mars, represents Mars. If you understand this mythology, you'll understand, wait a minute, when these two planets conjunct, let me just watch out. Let me pay attention to, my behaviors or the people around me. Maybe their behaviors is influenced by this energy, right? So understanding the mythology can help fast forward understanding the different layers of how these planets can influence your magic, or even influence you according to where they are in the sky. So why 12 houses, right? The division of astrology chart into 12 houses correspond with the 12 zodiac. Each house represents a different aspect of life, which is what I just mentioned. Aspects are angular relationships between planets in astrology. They indicate how the planets interact with each other and can influence a person's personality and experiences. Common aspects include conjunctions, oppositions, trines, squares, and sextiles. So these are aspects that are used when determining the relationship or the influences of where the planet currently sits at and where the planet sits at for you in your natal chart, right? If you want to understand how your relationship to these planets, you look at your natal chart and then begin to look at the different aspects, how these planets are being aspected in your chart. So the next thing, but this is when you really want to go deeper and understand it, you understand the dignities. Because when I first learned the basics, I just took a quick basic course and it really didn't go into what dignities are, but this is where the aspects and dignities are, for me, the things that you really need to understand to help you with astrological magic. So dignities refer to the strength or weakness of a planet, so the health of the planet. There are several types of dignities, including rulerships. Exaltations, this means a planet being particularly strong in a certain sign. Detriments, where a planet is weak in a certain sign. And falls, a planet also, this is something that also is, detriments and falls are kind of different, but they both represent a weakness in that planet. So dignities can affect how a planet expresses its energy in astrology. So it is important for you to understand these things. Now, taking understanding the foundation is important, but you can, if you understand the terminology and you have the basic knowledge of these things, if you want to, say, work with Mars, you want to check the current transits, like you go to astro.com and pull up a chart of the day, current chart, and see, and you would do that by pulling, it does actually have, if you understand how to go into picking what type of chart you want, it does have a chart of the day, but you just plug in where you are and it'll give you the current transits. So that's a whole nother video, right, to understand how to do that. But if you do, you can look at the current transits and say, okay, how is Mars being aspected? Is it in a house in zodiac that it's not happy with? Is it conjunct or in a square with a planet that it doesn't have a good relationship with? Is it in a zodiac or house where it is in its fall? So you want to ask yourself these things, and this is information that you could Google and find. As a matter of fact, I did upload on my website, on the free page of downloads, I did upload a chart where you can look at all the dignities. So if you have this information, you can kind of without having to take a course, you can kind of understand this and add that layer to your magic. So just work on understanding, because if you have the understanding of planetary magic and you are now moving to the more advanced, add that layer of understanding what aspects are and what dignities are, in order to make sure that when you cast your magic, even if you know the day and the hour, you want to know the influence that everything else has on that planet that you are working with. So now you kind of see the difference between going from planetary magic to astrological magic. And you don't have to, I think it's great, because I know some people that could care less about astrology and have no desire to want to learn it, and there's some that do but find it to be an overwhelming thing, because when you look at a chart, all you see is these lines going all over the place and these symbols. It could be overwhelming, but I implore you that if you do want to do this, start with the mythology of the planets and build that relationship. And once you do that, then you can kind of understand the aspects why two planets may be at war with one another, and then understand, looking at a breakdown of the dignities and seeing where this planet may be not in such a happy place. And of course, there are also people that provide services. So if you have no desire or either no time to want to understand or learn astrology, you can absolutely solicit the services of people that help with electional timings. You can either get a talisman or sigil created, and or get electional times that's best for you to do so. And so that's the other thing, right? Sigils, talismans, and amulets. When working with planetary magic alone, yes, you can go ahead and create that sigil, talisman, or amulet, but again, will it be at its best? So when you cross over into the realms of astrological magic, working with these things, creating these things to be influenced to house and hold that particular electional energy at that time, that creation, that sigil or that talisman or amulet is created and is influenced by this these electional times. And I'll get maybe more into that, but on another video of what that even means. But just having the knowledge of the right timings to do these things can make your creations powerful, and you can make sure that when you create them, that they're not being afflicted, so they will be manifest their full power. So just having the understanding of this world, the elements of this world, can help your magic manifest at a greater level. And the next thing I wanted to say before I end this video is do go over and check out my new Patreon, where it is also going into more advanced and the more darker occult things. I will be sharing, because this was something that was kind of requested quite a bit, I will be sharing the basics of astrology. This is just going to be the foundations of astrology. So the things that I have mentioned, I will go over in detail, share with you some digital downloads that you can have and build a little grimoire, if you will, or just have like a loose leaf notebook to compile everything that you learn into one book about astrology. But I will be going over a course through a time period of maybe a few months to help understand the basics of astrology, because I think this is something that is important if you want to work within the realms of witchcraft and really perfect and manifest some powerful magic, and especially if you like to create sigils, talismans, and amulets. I will also add in the description of this video some of the things that I mentioned. The website I actually read a little bit from. I will also put the some of the people that I do know that provide services to help you understand these things, and also to provide services to create talismans or provide you with the correct electional times to create your talismans. Yeah, so that is it for this video, the first advanced witchcraft video. I'm not sure what the next one is that I will do, but I will try to be consistent with keeping them going out weekly. So please do subscribe and hit the bell to be notified when the next video is going to be out. But yeah, so until the next video, I love you all, and into the shadows.